you notice anybody come in, like Sam, kind of doubt that Fernando's going to show up, but Jakub will probably show up, and Hector very well may show up. Okay, so here we are. Tuesday, right? I last saw you Thursday. And we're in, Sam, you made it. Sam Greenberg is here. All right, Sam. Sam, what happened to you last Thursday?
I had a doctor's appointment and I just had to go to it. I can reschedule it.
Yeah, that's fine. You know, a doctor's appointment is a good excuse, especially when you can't reschedule. But here's what's not a good excuse. Let me know. So in the future, send me an email or Monica or a text and just say, hey, it's Sam. I got a doctor's appointment I couldn't change. Then you're totally excused and we're not worried about you.
Okay, for sure. Sorry about that. Thank you.
What happened to Sam? He seemed like such a responsible young man.
Thank you.
Okay, Sam's here. Good. Hector, did you show up? All right. So you guys had a weekend? Was it the last weekend? No, it was Easter. It was Easter. Everybody remembers how to figure Easter too, right? Everybody here? Can somebody volunteer and tell me how Easter is figured, the date that Easter is figured? Just unmute yourself and tell me. Somebody must remember. Carla's giving me a big zip. She doesn't remember. Okay, Monica, do you remember? Monica Campbell? No, you just remember.
The first full moon after the spring equinox or something.
Yeah, the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox. Exactly. How simple is that? First full moon, the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox. I don't know why I'm so hot on people knowing this. It's just like, it's one of those things like, who doesn't know about Easter, right? Everybody's experienced Easter every year of your life, even in the years maybe when you were one, it didn't have, or two and three, didn't have a big memory of Easter or, you know, much of a memory of Easter. You still experienced Easter. Like back then, maybe you do remember the little, you know, cut up pieces of cellophane on your little Easter basket and the dyed eggs and the candy eggs and all that stuff and the chocolate bunny ears and all that stuff. You guys relating to any of that? So we've experienced Easter every year. We experience Easter, just like we experience Christmas, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Halloween, Valentine's Day. By the way, most of those holidays, except for Christmas, are BS holidays. I just can't stand the fact that they're even holidays. Like Halloween, oh my gosh, Halloween, right? Halloween was an incredible holiday. It's not anymore. Now, Halloween is about how much candy can your kids eat, or how can you control the candy your kids eat when you send them out and everybody is involved in giving them stuff that destroys their teeth, their hair, and their skin, and their stomachs, and all their internal organs. Yeah, candy. Candy is the opiate of children, and it's probably just as bad. So
that's every holiday at my house. That was Sunday at my house. They just like broke into, my son, he's 3, he doesn't have any sense of control. He broke into every single egg and ate every single candy at 6 a.m.
Oh, there you go. How old is he? Callum, right? Callum, he's an animal. So does anybody know what Halloween is all about? I don't know why we're on Halloween, except that I mentioned it. Anybody know what the original Halloween, how the holiday got started? Okay, so Halloween, it looks like Francisco's Googling it. Halloween is from All Hallows Eve. That's right, All Hallows Eve. So in the Middle Ages, when the church was really repressive and had everybody down under their thumb, and everybody was either a serf or a slave or the gentry, and the gentry were the 1% of the ruling class. Everybody else was poor, pretty much. I mean, there was a merchant class and a soldier class, but the church was very repressive, and the church came up with this idea of All Hallows Eve. And what that means is they created a day and a night that everything was hallowed. And what unhallowed means everything was sanctified. Everything was okay. It was okay. So you could just go out and go nuts. All that, you had to repress your sexuality if you happened to be, homosexual, or all that stuff that people repress because of the church, they could do on this one night where everything was hallowed. Nothing was sacred. Everything was hallowed. And so it just got crazy and wild. It was kind of I think it started as a pagan ritual anyway, and it's morphed over the centuries to what it is now, which is trick or treat and wear Spider-Man costumes. Woo-hoo. I don't know, man. I really liked Halloween all that much personally. Although I got to qualify that. I live in San Roque on the Argonne, off the Argonne Circle, on a spoke off the Argonne Circle. It's a 1 block long street. Now, San Roque is over the years, over time, and I've lived in that house 34 years, has become the Mecca, or one of the Meccas, for Santa Barbara Halloween. So people bring their kids from all over Santa Barbara to San Roque neighborhood, and they walk around. So other than the last couple of years, it's a mob scene. I mean, literally, it's shoulder to shoulder in the street. It's just mobs of kids and adults, cruising around, and there's parties all over, and it's crazy. So my neighbor has a clicker, right? A counter. This was 2 or 3 Halloweens ago. He clicked. Every time a kid came to his door and he gave him a piece of candy, he clicked. 1,400 kids in one night, in like a 3-hour period, 1,400 trick-or-treaters. That's also 1,400 pieces of candy. Now, if those pieces of candy cost a nickel a piece, that's $700. Is that right? $70. That's $70 worth of candy. Anyway, it's ridiculous, isn't it? So Easter, on the other hand, now that I'm getting around to this whole long drawn out thing, is one of my favorite holidays for a variety of reasons, not the least of which it's based on a planetary event, which is the vernal equinox and then the full moon. No other holiday is like that. No other holiday changes dates. Every other holiday, isn't that right? No, I take it back. Labor Day changes dates at the first Monday of September. July 4th doesn't change dates. Christmas never changes dates. Oh, New Year's Day. Yeah, New Year's Eve, that never changes dates. I don't think any other holidays change dates besides Labor Day. So it changes dates. It's based on a planetary event. It's, there's Yakub. And it's, hey, Yakub, got you here. And no, so we got everybody with Fernando. That's great. I love it. My whole thing is
I
tied.
was logged in by 8:55. Nobody let me in.
Oh
And
yeah.
I
You
emailed
didn't,
twice.
you didn't try to get back in because I disabled the waiting room. So were you trying to get right back in, or did you wait?
I was waiting. I was waiting.
You were waiting in the room. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'll try to remember. I'll try to
Did you
get
get my
this.
emails? I mean, I emailed you twice.
Yeah, good luck on that. Once I'm in this, I don't. I'm done. You can call me if this happens to any of you. If you don't have my number, let me know. You should have it somewhere. But if you don't, I'll put it up and you can have my number and just call, because I'll see you're calling, and then I can do something about it. And I'll try my best to get this waiting room disabled permanently for us. And if I can't, I promise I'll remember, and you guys will all help me say, hey, did you disable the waiting room? So you can come right in, right? So Easter, I was talking about Easter. Easter is about rebirth. And that's really what it's about. It's about resurrection and rebirth. And not so much, well, I take it back, so much because it's about, the story of Jesus and the resurrection and all that stuff, and the fact that he gave his life so we could have our sins cleansed, but really on a planetary scale and on a scale that's easier for me to relate to. Easter's about being reborn, about transforming, and it's about the end of the long, dark nights of winter and the beginning of spring, where where the plants bud, where the sap rises. Do you feel your sap rising? Because I do. You know what I mean? In the springtime, I can just feel, things start to heat up and things come alive. And I'm not sure how it is for you at your house if you have plantings. I suspect most of you do have plantings, but our roses are just starting to look so healthy. I mean, everything is coming on, and it's a great time. So it's a great time to be alive, even though I've been irritated for well over 24 hours. Yeah, how can I stay irritated for 24 hours? Well, get to be my age and you'll figure it out. So I'll tell you what happened. My wife's away for 2 weeks. So when she's away at her folks' house in Kansas, she doesn't call me. It's this ongoing thing where I feel butthurt and she told, it's just ridiculous, man. It happens every time. And so before she goes, look, just call me at least once a day. So I'm pretty sure that when I say call me at least once a day, she hears call me once a day. And yesterday morning, I found out that my oldest daughter and her husband have been exposed to COVID and indeed tested positive for COVID. Yeah. My daughter, who's the closest to me right now, because she lives here in Santa Barbara with my grandkids and her husband have COVID. Yeah, they're sheltered and, they're quarantined right now. They have COVID. I was freaking out because I'd been exposed to them, even though I have 2 vaccinations and I should be good. Totally freaking out. Texted my wife, didn't call her, but basically said, call me. And then called her, and of course she didn't answer. So I was pissed all day, to the point where when she did call me at 11:15 her time in Kansas, it's like I didn't want to talk to her. I was so pissed. I almost didn't answer the phone, but I did. And then so I told her how I felt. It was not that fun. And then we did this thing. Oh God. Hey, Francisco, since you said this to everyone, I'm going to talk about any issue I want. So I'm just going to get real clear with everybody here. If I want to talk about religion, I'm going to talk about religion. If I want to talk about tools, I'm going to talk about tools. I am going to talk about whatever I want to talk about. And if you're offended by the fact that I mentioned Easter and Jesus, I apologize right now, because it's not my intention to offend anybody. But please, I'm going to ask you right now, don't ask me to stick on topic. I'm going to be all over the map. I'm going to talk about whatever topics I want to talk about. And as far as I'm concerned, they're all germane to life. And right now, I'm going to talk about the 4 agreements. Yeah, these 4 agreements. And then I'll get into something that has to do with tools and finished carpentry. This is my MO, folks. So the 4 agreements are: be impeccable with your word. Don't make assumptions. Don't take anything personally. And do the best you can. So I don't know if I read this to you, but I'm going to read the first 2 paragraphs of the first agreement. Be impeccable with your word. The first agreement is the most important one and also the most difficult one to honor. It is so important that with just this first agreement, you will be able to transcend to the level of existence I call heaven on earth. The first agreement is to be impeccable with your word. Sounds very simple, but it's very, very powerful. Why your word? Your word is the power that you have to create. That's right. We create with our words. So, Carla, you raising your hand? Okay. So that's the first agreement. And now, I think I'm going to show. Oh, you know what? I don't know. I got everything started here. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So let's have a safety meeting. We're going to have a safety meeting right now. This class is going to talk about safety, and we're going to talk about mechanical demolition versus hand demolition. I think we are. Maybe we are. Huh. Well, crud. Oh, here we go. Okay, I'll read the introduction, and then I'll call on some people to read. Introduction. Mechanical demolition is the type of demolition that everyone thinks of. Big machines tearing down a structure. Mechanical demolition poses some risks to employees who are operating the machines and for those employees who are working outside of the machines. Following the safe work practices provided in this lesson will help ensure employee safety. So, Brianna, would you read hazards, please?
While performing mechanical demolition, employees can be exposed to several hazards, including electrocution when contact is made with active power lines, falling debris, getting crushed, getting run over, tipping off of the machine, getting trapped in the machine or trapping employees between the machine and structure, uncontrolled collapse of the structure.
Luis, would you read personal protective equipment, please?
Employees should wear the following personal protective equipment: hard hat, hearing protection, reflective vest or jacket when required by employer, gloves, optional or when required by employer, proper footwear, safety glasses with eye shields, optional or when required
By the employer. Okay, safe work practices. How about Lionel?
Safe work practices. A competent person should inspect the site daily for any hazard that could occur from weakened or deteriorated floors, walls, or loosened materials. Inspect all machines for any malfunction part on the mesh. Report any malfunction parts of the mesh to your supervisor. Do not use a machine that has malfunctioning part of the mesh.
Malfunctioning.
Malfunctioning parts. All machines should be used on level ground. No one but the machine operator should be in the work area when billing or claiming. Using a claim bucket is being performed.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there and back up a second. So this one, no one but the machine operator should be in the work area when it's balling or clamming is being performed. And balling is when they're using a big swinging, giant, heavy wrecking ball, and they get that swinging on the arm of there's various machines they use, and swing it over and slam into a building to knock it down. And let's give somebody else a chance to read. Francisco, would you read from Do Not Let?
Do not let anyone but the operator in the driver's seat of any machine ensure that all barriers are in their proper positions, and do not let anyone who is not authorized beyond the barrier. The operator and the person who will signal to him or her should go over what signals will be used prior to the operator getting into the machine. Do not walk behind, next to, or in front of the machine. Do not walk under loads that are being lifted or pulled down.
Okay, let's give Levi a chance. Levi, if you are required.
If you are required to work close,
Proximity.
I can send me to a machine. Ensure that the operator is aware that you are in the area, and keep in the sight of the signal when possible.
Good one.
And the wrecking ball weight should not exceed 50% of the crane load.
Rated load. Okay, I'm gonna stop you there. So that's an interesting specification there. That the wrecking ball's weight should not exceed more than half of the crane's rated load. Whoa. I think cranes are rated pretty high. I'm sure they're all rated different depending upon how high they are and how big their outriggers are and how big they are. But that seems to be a lot of weight. Okay, how about Jasmine? Would you read from a swivel type? Okay. How about Israel? A swivel type?
Swivel type. Let me make my screen a little bit bigger because I can.
Are you doing it
see-
from a phone, Israel?
I'm sorry?
Are you doing it from your phone?
No, from my iPad.
Oh, okay. Do
It's not that big.
you want me to make it bigger? I'll make it bigger.
Sure.
How's that?
Yeah, that's fine. That's better.
A swivel type.
Swivel type.
Yeah, a swivel type connection right here, right here. See that?
Yeah, I see. A swivel type connection should be used to attach the wrecking ball to the load lines. A swivel type connection will help to prevent the leading from twisting. Ensure that the wrecking ball is secured to the load line before letting the balls too high off the ground. Make sure that all roof cornices are
All roof cornices.
cornices or ornamental stoneworks has been removed prior to walls being pulled over. Steel members should be cut free from all or portions of the structure that is being pulled down. The crane boom and lead line should be as short as possible.
Thank you. I'll read the conclusion. Mechanical demolition can be a time saver on a work site. However, the machines can pose risks to employees who work with or around them. Even the most seasoned of demolition employees forgets to respect the machines from time to time, and that disrespect can lead to disaster. Employees can show their respect of the machines by following safe work practices provided in this lesson. Does anybody have any comments on this at all? Anybody done mechanical demolition around big, large stuff? Around large machines? No? I don't think.
Rodney?
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, can I step up for like 10-15 minutes? I have to do something downstairs. I'll be right back.
Okay, that's real. Thanks for asking.
Thank you.
You got it. And yeah, you can send me a chat. I think you did send me a chat. It's just so hard to look at everybody and try to keep this all in the air and then look at the chats too. But okay, so there's our safety meeting. I don't think, well, I take it back. I have been around machinery doing demolition. I had not a big crane with a wrecking ball, but I was taken down, or actually I stood in for a guy, a friend of mine who's a contractor. I stood in for him on a site, and it was the demo part of the site, and I had them demo chimney, brick chimney, a masonry chimney. So it wasn't a frame chimney over a zero clearance fireplace. It was all masonry. So it was attached to a big footing. Anyway, I had him with his excavator reach up with a claw and pull the chimney over. And man, I mean, I was well away, but when that thing, I don't know how much it weighed, but when it hit the ground, the people all the way up the block, like 8-10 houses, came out of their house. They thought an earthquake was happening. It just shook the ground. And then unbeknownst to me, unbeknownst to me, the chimney itself was attached to a big footing, a giant footing. And so when it fell over, the footing fell too, and it hinged, and the footing just popped up through the existing flooring, and it was wild. And the wild part was just seeing, the wild part was seeing how something that heavy, the forces behind moving around something that heavy. It's, you can't get out of the way of it if it's falling fast. You can't get out from underneath it if it falls on you. So you got to really, really be careful. I mean, we do demolition of all sorts with pry bars and hammers and sledgehammers and flat bars and breaker bars and pneumatic tools. And you got to be careful with those. You should wear gloves and glasses. But around these larger machine demos, you got to be really careful, because you can not just get injured, you can get killed. Pretty easy, if you can imagine something falling on you from a height that the crane's working at and stuff like that. So be careful. Always be careful, please. Safety, safety, safety. So I'm going to start talking about portable power tools today. We're in our second phase of finished carpentry. We're into intermediate finished carpentry. So hopefully we're stepping it up a phase, and I think dovetailed with that is finished carpentry tools. So finished carpentry tools, we're at portable power tools. So portable power tools. Here's our list again. We went through all the hand tools in our first couple of meetings together, and now we're going to go in our first 4 meetings together. Now we're going to go into portable power tools. So a laser level is actually a power tool, because it's at least it's power tools because it has a switch and it comes on. They're pretty much they're all battery operated, laser level, and we have 4 of them here. And none of them work right except the brand new one I bought, and it's not here because I think Jim Cunningham has borrowed it. So if I remember and think of it, if it gets back, I'll show you the laser level, because it's a really great tool. It's a great tool for a variety of things that have to do with level and plumb, and a lot of stuff that we do has to do with level and plumb. Lots and lots of stuff. I mean, generally we run all of our which we talked about the other day, last week, we run our standing and running trim plumb and level. We set doors and windows plumb and level. We set cabinets plumb and level. We like to build plumb and level. So our finish work can be plumb and level too. So a laser level really helps with that. And it would be great if I could demonstrate it to you. And at some point I will demonstrate it to you. So let's, I'm going to put a big 0 at laser level, and then we'll go to the next one on the list, which is circular saw with various blades. That's going to be an easy one. It's right next to me. So I'm going to go ahead and pin myself and show you a circular saw, which I think we saw when I demoed that. I think I demoed it to you guys, didn't I? Making a cutoff, a saw guide. Or was that? I get confused because I'm doing another class altogether. But here's a circular saw. This one happens to be a skill saw. It's a worm drive 7 1/4 skill saw. It's pretty much standard in the industry. A lot of circular saws are just called skill saws. Skill saw is a brand of saw. Makita makes them, Ryobi makes them, DeWalt makes them, Bosch makes them, lots and lots of people. Oh, shoot. Darn it. I wanted to show you our Festo circular saw. So that's a worm drive skill saw, right? It's got a guard. that you never want to peg open, right? It protects your legs from the blade. This is kind of a big rip blade. That's how you take your blade off. That's the trigger right in there. Height is adjusted right here, or depth of cut, right? And you can also crank this guy over, crank the platen over to cut all the way up to 45. And it's got a positive stop at 90. Most of your cuts will be 90. There's a branded tool, and it's called Festo. And some of you have heard about it, some of you haven't. We have a whole bunch of Festo tools, a whole bunch. God dang it. But seems like our tools come and go around here. People borrow them. Between Jim and Pat, I'm going to take one more look for the saw. So there's a variety of circular saws. That one I just showed you, the one I just showed you is a 7 1/4 worm drive saw. The one I'm looking for is a Festo 550 millimeter plunge saw. I don't have it to show you, and if I think about it, I might pull up a picture of it, because I know some of you won't be, you won't know what I'm talking about when I talk about a 550 millimeter or 55 millimeter. Yeah. No, 550 millimeter. No, 55 millimeter. That's it. 55 millimeter plunge saw. It's a saw that the blade is not below the bottom until you release and plunge the blade, and you can dial it in. And so rather than describe it, I will get that plunge saw. I'll find out where it is, and I'll get it here to show you, because the skill saw is one way to cut things, and it's a fairly rough way to cut things, and it's pretty much known for rough carpentry, although you can make it into a finished carpentry tool. If you're going to be doing finished carpentry, and as you tool up, you're going to want to get better tools, and the best tools are what you're going to want to get if you want to command the highest wage, and as you gain more and more skills, if you're going to become a finished carpenter. And the best finished carpentry tools, in my estimation, are made by Festool or Festo. So for instance, you can buy a skill saw today, brand new, for a couple $100 or less. A Festo 55 millimeter plunge saw is going to cost you about $750 and about $950 to $1,100 for the 75 millimeter, which is a little bigger plunge saw. And it's an incredible saw. It's got all kinds of features that I won't describe until I have it in my hand, but suffice to say, it's a track saw as well. So it has extrusions on the bottom, so it has recesses cut into the bottom of the saw that are made to go into a track. I'll grab a track right now and show you. So it's known as a track saw, and everybody's making them now, but Festool was pretty much the first to come out with them. This is a 4-foot track. These extrusions take the bottom of their saw, of their plunge saw. They also take the bottom of their jigsaw and their router. I think that's it. So you can drop this and clamp it, but it also has a rubberized inserts on the bottom that are pretty sticky, so that you can actually drop this on the work and not clamp it, and it doesn't move. And then just put it right on the edge that you're going to cut, drop the saw on, and cut. And it's a very, very precise finish tool. Very precise. Festo. So in saws, portable power tools, this is less a finish tool This is more of a rough tool. Although you could be doing finish work, you could be doing beam work and things like that, and that's when you'd use a tool like this. This is a 16-inch worm drive skill type saw. It's pretty much the same. It doesn't, this is just its protective stand. It's pretty much the same as that worm drive skill saw, only much bigger blade. Cuts much, much deeper. Rocky, you in there? Yeah, good boy. Have you guys met my dog? You guys met my dog? Unless anybody has problems with meeting my dog, I'm going to introduce my dog to you. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. And because my wife's out of town, Rocky and I are married at the hip. We're joined at the hip. This is Rocky. His real name is Rockefeller Boots. Say hi, Rocky. Okay, there's a lot of circular saws, and there are a lot of various blades. And really, blades, I'm going to spend a minute on blades. Blades are all, I talked about this with hand tools, but blades are all designated pretty much by the tooth configuration, how the tooths are made, and the amount of teeth per inch. So I think I showed you a blade. I'm going to show you my personal blade. So in skill saws, we're not using high-speed steel anymore. We just don't. We use carbide tip, everything. You can buy them. They become throwaway almost. These blades aren't even meant to be sharpened. They're meant to be used and then exchanged, and then somebody puts new tips on them. But that's pretty much what we use on skill saws for cutting rough. Now, when you're cutting fine, you're using a much better blade. Thicker and more carbide, sharpenable, and way more teeth per inch. Why is that out of focus? Come on, focus, focus, focus. Way more teeth per inch. Teeth designation. There's a couple of blades, a couple of kinds of blades you want to know about. One is a rip blade. A rip blade has a minimum of teeth. And large gullets. I'm going to see if I got one. I think I do. Nope. Okay. So they usually have, 9 to 6 teeth. Oh wait, that would be per blade. Yeah. So a rip blade has very few teeth. So it's got a tooth, a super large gullet, a tooth, super large gullet, a tooth. So there's a minimum of teeth. So the blade passes through the cut very, very fast. It cuts pretty well. It doesn't have a whole lot of cutting, and consequently it makes a very rough cut. So you're going to use a rip blade, and that's to rip with the grain. So you can use it for plywood, but you wouldn't. You'd use it for solid stock, like solid wood, solid oak, solid pine, solid fir, so any of the solid stocks versus a plywood or sheet goods. And you'd use it to cut only with the grain, never cross cut. That's the easiest cut. It's the fastest cut, but it leaves the most saw marks. And we'll talk about how to get the saw marks out later on. that's a pretty common blade, a rip blade, but your most common blade is going to be a common combo blade. So it's used for finish work and roughing in, but more towards the finish. And that depends on how many teeth per inch. But they're typically, the teeth grind is ATB. And that means alternate top bevel. And what that means is you got one tooth that's cut and beveled that way. The next tooth is cut and beveled that way. The next tooth is cut and beveled that way, and so forth. So it's an alternating top bevel. This blade is 60 teeth. It's my favorite blade. It's my personal blade. It's a Tenru. Now, Tenru is a Japanese company. They started making their blades with Japanese steel. Then they used some Israeli steel. This, I believe, they now have a plant in China, but I'm not sure if it's Chinese steel, but they make a very good blade. I haven't been disappointed with their blades. That's a 60 tooth. That's an ATB. So I think you can see, I think you're close enough to see the alternate top bevel that way, then that way. And then you see the blade will usually tell you what it is. So it's a 60 tooth blade. That's how many RPMs you can do max. Our saw runs at 3,500, so it's well within the max. And it's pretty much 10-inch blade, all standard 5/8 arbor. And 10 inches is the standard table saw that most of us use. Some of us have 12 inches, and some of us go to as high as 16. Some of us meaning shops. We have a 10-inch unisaw. It's a very common blade. Almost all your portable table saws, which we're going to show you, are 10-inch with a 5/8 arbor. And arbor is the piece that the blade goes on and then locks onto with a nut. That's the saw arbor, and that's the arbor hole. So I keep this blade safe by not leaving it on the saw. Not leaving it on the saw. So blades, circular saw blades. Okay, circular saw blades. We're going to at circular saw blades. We're going to take a break. I got 8 minutes to. Let's take a 13-minute break. Let's get back here at 5 after 10. I'll see you back here at 5 after 10. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, we're back. Oh, are we still recording? Did I pause it? Guess I didn't pause it. Shoot, I thought I paused it. I didn't pause it. I left it on during the break. Oh, well, sorry. I'll try to remember to pause it at the next break. Okay, so
Hi, guys.
we're recording the break, but that's not the end of the world. That's for sure. Not the end of the world. Okay, I found that saw that I wanted to show you. Everybody back. Lionel, Brianna, Levy, Yakub, Sam, Speranza, Francisco, Brian, Anthony, Lionel. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. I've got his mute off. I'm putting you on mute. Okay. Levy, Brianna, Carlos, Lionel, Jakub, Francisco, you there? What's up, bud? Huh? What's up, boy?
Did you take him outside for a walk? Hi, Rocky.
Yeah, I need to do that. I need to do that. So, okay, here's this tool that I couldn't find, and now I found it. So the thing about Festool, remember I said how much more expensive they are? They are quite a bit more expensive. So this is your rough saw, skill saw, right? For doing rough work. Now for doing fine finish work, like I said, you can do finish work. You can cut finish work with a skill saw. You just have to have a good finished blade. Good carbide tip, fine tooth blade would be the best for the best cut. This is a Festool saw. So you notice there's nothing below the blade. So nothing that you can't cut yourself with this thing. And you can dial in the depth of cut right here. And it's all in millimeters. So this is a 45 millimeter plunge saw. Did I say 55 millimeter? Yeah, no, it's a 55 millimeter plunge saw. Oh yeah, I was reading 45, but it goes to 55. So you just press this in and you dial it. We'll take it to 25 millimeters right there. 25 millimeters is an inch. And so I've got it dialed into 25 millimeters for depth of cut. It's on 0 here. So when I push this green in, I can plunge the blade down. Now the blade drops down exactly that 25 millimeters. And this here, right here, that drops down with it, that's a splitter. That keeps the kerf open. Kerf being what the saw blade makes, right? And there's a very nice blade, super sharp carbide teeth on a Festool tool. And there's the extrusions where it drops into that track that I showed you. It's a great tool. All of Festool tools come with some pretty cool things, like the detachable cords. Their cords just plug in. All their cords just plug in, and you can take them off. All their tools that make dust, right? All their sanders, saws, routers, the whole cha-cha of Festool tools will work with their dust extraction. So, oh shoot, this might not work. I got to move this. Sorry, kids, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, let's move this so I can get this out here. Sorry for all that jumping around. Okay, so this is Festool's dust extraction. Really cool thing about Festool is every one of their tools comes in what they call a sustainer. So it's a container. It's called a sustainer. I'm not sure. Oh, it's because it's a system. It's a system container, I guess, right? So they all come in these incredible containers, which that's like that, but they also go on top of each other. So this is the jigsaw one, right? Goes right on top, and then these latches come up and go up like that, and they latch on, so you can join these guys all together on the sides as well. So you can stack them up. They have a dolly, they have a rolling dolly. They also stack up on the dust collection module on their dust extractor. They all lock in, and then they'll stack up on top of this. Pretty cool deal. Get this off. I want to show you something.
Is the dust extractor like a vacuum kind of? Does it suck it up?
It's exactly what it is. It's a vacuum, and you can turn it on manually. You can plug it in, turn it on manually, click, and vacuum to your heart's content. There are, with the vacuum, you have all kinds of different arms and tools, right? Different tools. But the beauty, the coolest thing about Festo extraction is every one of their tools that make sawdust, and this saw makes sawdust, as saws do. Every single solitary one of their tools is meant to plug in to dust extraction. They all have a place to plug in the hose from the vacuum, and then they plug in right here is a plug. And you plug the tool into the dust extractor, and you turn it on auto, not manual. Nothing will happen until you pull the trigger on the saw. It starts up the dust extraction at the exact same time. So you can't make a cut without extracting the dust when your tool is plugged into the dust extractor. The dust extractor is plugged in and it's on auto. It's a really good way to go because breathing dust is not a good idea. Breathing dust is not a good idea of any form. And when I first got my that saw, I bought that saw for my shop when it first came out. I was cutting some plastic laminate, which is Formica type desks, some big desks, like they're at least 8 feet, I think, maybe 10. And they were 36 wide, I think, or something like that. But at any rate, they needed to be cut down. And so I had that tool in my truck. I stopped there. I brought them down. I put them on sawhorses. I didn't have the clamps. I just used the track and cut them. And they cut cleanly. And I didn't, they cut a perfect cut. And I used the dust extractor and there was no dust. I mean, you could literally cut here and have your plate full of scrambled eggs there and not getting sawdust in your eggs, which is amazing. Totally amazing. Circular saw, various blades. Oh my gosh. There's a lot to do with saws and blades. The next thing on my list is router. So who knows what a router is? Anybody know what a router is? Nobody wants to chime in. Anybody at all know what a router is? Anybody? Nobody? Nobody knows what a router is? Honestly?
Yeah.
Gerardo, what's a router?
It is
It is a round blade that you can do the works and around the where you're working in a border or whatever.
All right, I'm gonna remove the pin for a second. Okay, Gerardo. So I'm gonna try to explain that. I'm not sure, I didn't quite get what you were saying, but I'll explain the router and see. I suspect some of you know what a router is, and you're just reluctant to chime in and tell me what you think a router is. So I'll go back to pinning me.
Gerardo said something about the go around the border.
Oh, that's
Yeah, like Gerardo said,
Fernando said that?
it was about,
Gerardo.
no, Gerardo was saying
Gerardo,
that it was a
you're right.
blade.
Gerardo, that is exactly right. That is one thing that you can do with a router. You can go around the border of something and put an edge on it. For instance, this is what I made my mantle out of. It's 8/4 poplar, yellow poplar. It's 8/4 S2S, which means 8/4 surface two sides, and 8/4 surface two sides is 1 3/4 net thickness. If it was 8/4 rough, it would be 2-inch net thickness, but since it's 1 3/4 S2S, which means surface two sides, it's 1 3/4 thick. This is an edge detail. Alrighty, that's a round over with a step that I was just practicing before I put it on my actual mantle, and that's a cove. So those are edge details. Now that's not the only thing you can do with the router. I'll show you the router. So first I'll show you a corded router. Okay, well, that's what I'm gonna do. Wow. Wow. Just keeps disappearing. Huh. Well, I don't know where our router is. we have a couple of routers. All right. We have more than one router. We have a pretty traditional Bosch router. We have a Festool router, which is a little more traditional. It's a corded router. Again, it's got the separate cord. It plugs it in, and it also plugs into the vacuum, so that when you hit this trigger switch, the vacuum comes on. That's where it's got a piece on it. That guy there goes on. About like that. It goes in there like that, and then this attaches, and then that's what your dust collection attaches to, and so that all the sawdust and wood chips you're doing when you spin this router bit. This is a big old roundover bit. That's an edge bit with a guide. So I'll show you the other thing that routers do besides, or some of the things that routers do besides edge cutting. But this is an edge bit. It's a roundover. I think it's a 1/2-inch roundover. It's carbide. It has a bearing on it. This is also, almost all Festo tools are plunge tools. So this tool doesn't, this thing has so many so many. It has so many adjustments. It has so many adjustments on it that I'm having trouble adjusting the depth of this cut, and I don't know why. Just because I haven't used this router all that much. But the bit doesn't come down until you adjust the depth of cut, and then you plunge it down. Oh, that's what's happening. I can see this right now. There we go. Hide. Then you plunge it, right? So you push it down on the work. It comes down to a pre-stop place, and then you edge route like that. And if you want to see it a little better, I'm going to show it to you. So that's a corded router, right? You got to drag a cord with it. It develops a lot of RPM. You'd want a corded router to do a large roundover like that. To take a lot of meat off the edge of something. Routers can be used to plow straight cuts, anywhere from 1/8 inch all the way up to 1 inch and above. You can use a router to cut a straight groove, as it were, like this. A router could cut this. This is a rabbet. This is a rabbet on the edge of a board. It's called a rabbet, but a router could cut that very easily. Oh, God. A router could cut grooves. So on the edge, it's a rabbet of a board, but out in the field, it's a dado or a groove. So a dado is across the grain and a groove is with the grain. And actually this is with this grain. So this would be a groove. Something across the grain would be a dado, but a router can cut that. That's a 3/4 straight bit. A router cuts out the mortises in door locks, that are recessed, where your latch is recessed and your strike is recessed into the jamb in the door. That's what a router does. Now, I got a router. I bought a router for us last year because I was amazed at the fact that they now have cordless routers. So this is a plunge router. It's battery operated. Takes a lithium ion battery. And now it's powered up. Now this battery may need, this battery's dead. Okay. Although let's see if it turns on. Let's just see. Nope. Not turning on. Okay. I think that battery's deader than a doornail. Let's see how this battery is. Yep. That's not turning on. Okay, so this battery is also deader than a doornail. So I gotta charge some batteries. But same idea, right? It's a spinning arbor right there. This thing spins around. And that's another roundover bit. That does a roundover edge, and that bit right there with the bearing, right, that rolls along the edge of the work, that's the router I used to cut that. And I stepped it to do a roundover with a step, and I could have brought it up and just did a roundover, which I didn't. I did a step, but you can adjust that roundover so it just rounds over and doesn't drop down and do that step. I happen to like the step detail. That's a router. Hugely important tool to finish carpenter, because we can put edges on things. We can actually, there are router cutters that will build stick and cope doors. Now I may be getting ahead here, but I'll show you, I think I'll show you what a stick and cope door is. Okay. I'm going to show you a stick and cope door, and I'm going to show you a butted door. So this is a recessed panel door. Flat panel, recessed panel. It doesn't have any inside edge sticking, and so it doesn't really need to be coped. It does have a, so this is the butt joint, right? This butts, but it does have a tenon. That's called a tenon. It goes into a mortise, which is also the groove that this panel goes into. So that, when this is cut, this is probably cut on the table saw, but maybe a shaper, but you can also do a router, use a router. You cut this groove in this piece, and you cut this tenon, usually on the table saw or on a shaper, so it fits into that groove. And then the rest of the groove takes the panel. Now in a stick and cope door, which most of your cabinet doors are, because they have, let's put it up here. Okay, a stick and cope door, what this is a little different because it has an inside edge sticking detail, that detail right there. Now you can do a stick and cope door, a cabinet door just like this with router knives. I did this on a shaper, and essentially a shaper is a tool that we'll get to next week when we get into stationary power tools. But a shaper is a giant router upside down. It's really what a shaper is. But it doesn't stick in cope joints. So I use the shaper to make these cuts, this panel detail. It's not a C panel. I think that's a straight. Yeah, I think that is called a C panel. But this joint, because this sticking detail is run all the way through the edge of this piece right here. This is called a stile. Vertical members are called stiles. Horizontal members are called rails. Top rail, bottom rail. Stile, panel. This is a frame and panel door. Just like this one is also a frame and panel door. The difference is that's a recess. This is a raised or a solid raised panel. Now I'm going to show you the edge of this so you can get an idea of the sticking. So this sticking detail runs all the way through, but this rail copes into it. It has the opposite or female cut so that it slips into a cope, and it actually copes into that joint. So it kind of looks like a miter, like that cope I showed you that we did with the jigsaw, or that happens with a coping saw, where the two baseboards come together. Same kind of thing. You have a profile, and then you cope it, or you have the opposite of it in the stile where it meets the rail, and it appears looking kind of like a miter, a lot like a miter joint, but it's not a miter joint because these edges are integral or part of the rail and the stile. So that's a cope and stick joint. I know that may be a little bit confusing, but maybe after a while it won't be. And we made all those out of scrap white oak. Yeah, scrap white oak. But I had a bunch. I did a restaurant in Santa Monica, and I had all kinds of just tons of white oak left over. So I built a bunch of stuff. that. All right, what's the next tool on our list? Let's see, the next tool. Router bits, okay. Router bits. All right. Yeah, there's a ton of router bits. There's a ton of edge bits. There's OG bits. There's roundover bits. There's chamfer bits. I could do a class on bits, but I won't at this point. They're easy to look up, router bits. And as a matter of fact, because routers are pretty important finished carpenter tools, let's just for grins, let's go to, let's get a screen. Rockler's a pretty good company. They're not the most expensive, but they're not the cheapest. They make make good knives and good bits for a good price. They're all carbide tipped. You won't find any high-speed steel anything. What is this? What is that? Oh my God, it looks bad, whatever it is. Okay, so this is kind of a cool, this lock miter does that. I'm going to show you a lock miter in a second, but there's a cove bit, straight bits for see what it does. It's for putting in a groove or a dado, so you can drop plywood into it to lock a plywood joint into it. Straight bits. There's a shutter bead detail, 3-piece bits, flush trimmer. Here's a shaker style stick and cope bit, stick and cope knives. Here's stick and cope knives. We put our routers, bigger routers, into a router table and make a small shaper, so we can set up and do stuff like this guy's doing right here, shaping. These are all edge profile bits with carbide tips, with carbide tips and roller bearings that roll on the edge of the work and control where we go. There's a pattern bit. So you put that, you put a pattern on a piece of work and you roll the bearing on the pattern, and then the bit cuts what the pattern does. That's a really cool way to go. There's a router louver. It shapes, it shapes louvers, takes a square piece of wood, makes it into a louver shape. Spiral cutters, those are used for a variety of things. Hang on one second, I'm sorry. Good. This guy's supposed to meet me here at 12, maybe you forgot. There's a keyhole slot cutter. Again, straight bits. There's a rabbiting set. There's a rabbet. Various sized rabbets that you control the depth of your rabbet by how you set the router bit on the router, and you control how deep or what kind of rabbet it is, whether it's a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/8, something like that, by the bearing. The smaller the bearing, the deeper your bit will cut. The larger the bearing, the less meat your bit will cut. So that's how you control how much of a shoulder you want to cut. There's a bunch of roundovers, and there are a lot more router bits. Right now, that lock miter, now this is a shaper knife that does this, but this was done on a shaper, but there's a router that does this too. So this is a lock miter. So it's a miter joint, which is a great joint. Doesn't show any end grain. It's got a lot of glue surface, and by doing a lock miter joint on it, you actually create a lock. So this thing is really tough to break apart, and it has a ton of glue surface. Really good joint for box beams. For any place you're going to do a miter that you want it to stay together, a lock miter joint or lock miter bits to create these joints are really cool deals. Router, super handy tool. You know, that small router, that small cordless router will do a whole lot of edge cutting, even larger bits. It's pretty powerful router, even if it's being driven by a lithium ion battery, which I have to charge up. But one nice thing about routers is I like an 1/8 inch roundover bit. I want to see if I can find one. Pardon my yawning. I got some in here. I like to put an 1/8 inch roundover on almost everything. So show you some more router bits. I got router bits. I got Bix bits. I got shaper knives, which I'll show you later. But so here's a couple more router bits. Here's a double flute carbide Freud straight bit. You see what it cuts? It cuts 3/4, groove or dado, and it'll cut as much as 3/4 deep or anything up to 3/4 deep. Here's oh yeah, my favorite bit, an 1/8 inch roundover bit. I don't think this is even out of the package yet. Yeah. So all new router bits have this protective stuff on it. And that's what it's got on it right now. So see if I cut into that. It's got this protective plastic on it. So it's totally protected until you start using it, and then you got to protect it. In the meantime, the factory has protected it for you. But that does an 1/8 inch roundover. It guides on the work and it cuts a little tiny 1/8 inch roundover. And it's great for easing edges. So anything square, right? Anything square. Any square, something you don't want to leave square. Let's say you spun this circle out on the bandsaw and you didn't want to leave a hard or square edge. You might take a router with an 1/8 inch bit on it and just run it around it. And then that makes a nice 1/8 inch ease around. And 1/8 inch is a good one too. My friend Jerry DeHogue, who lives and breathes doors and finish work. He's a top-notch finish carpenter, maybe the best of his kind. Except for me, maybe. Now he's probably better than me, but he has something like 28 routers, and he has a router that is only has an 1/8 inch roundover bit in it, and he just uses it to ease the edges of doors and the work he's doing, so he doesn't leave a square or sharp edge. Yeah, so router bits, lots of router bits. Straight bit, show you that. Okay. I could go on about router bits. The next thing on my list is jigsaw. We've got a couple of jigsaws. I'm going to see if I can find the other one. Okay, jigsaw, where are you? Jigsaw. Come on, jigsaw. Man, what is happening to our stuff? So, it looks like, whoa. Looks like someone's, shoot. We have a real nice Bosch jigsaw, which I highly recommend, the Bosch jigsaw. For the money, it's a really good jigsaw. And we have one. I can't find it. So it means Jim or Pat's got it. Should have asked them beforehand. But we do have a jigsaw. We have a Festool jigsaw. It's pretty much the same as any jigsaw in some ways. It has a coping foot. That's what. This is the coping foot that goes on there that allows you to cope. And I don't know that we'll get into coping, but it has a coping foot for doing copes on for crown molding. It has this guy, right, which fits right in here like so. and that's for dust extraction. That plugs into the dust extractor. So anything you're cutting, this is vacuuming off the dust so you don't have dust in your work or in your eyes, or especially in your lungs. Yeah, no dust in the lungs. That's just a primo thing to have happen. It's a quick release on the blade. These are very sharp blades. These Festo blades, and I think this actually takes, a generic blade too. But you can adjust this thing to be oscillating up and down or slightly forward as it oscillates and cuts a little forward. There's actually 3 settings on this thing. Like I said, you can change the foot to a coping foot, and I'm not going to get into that right now. It's also variable speed. Just a great jigsaw. And it's for cutting. You can cut straight lines on it, but it's for cutting angles or circles and curves. It's really what jigsaws are for. And a jigsaw with a trammel point, just like a router with a trammel point. Yeah, and I don't see the guide. So I would have to make a guide for this. I don't know why this doesn't have a guide, but I would make a guide for this that it would sit in, and it would come out with an adjustable radius trammel point to put in the work. Because with a trammel point, if I'm anchored here and I've got a blade here and a fixed distance, I can spin that guy around my trammel point and cut out perfect circles, which is exactly how I cut this circle, which is a perfect circle, one of many around here. And if you look in the center, you're going to see the hole, the trammel point hole. I cut this on the bandsaw. I have a jig that I use, an auxiliary table, and I use to make circles on the bandsaw. With luck, I can show you guys that when I show you the bandsaw next week. But in the meantime, jigsaw, circles, curves, and really almost anything. You can do fine work. This is a great tool for coping, especially because the blades are so sharp, and you can really control the speed of it too. Coping foot. Coping foot. Sounds weird, doesn't it? Coping foot. Okay, let's get this thing back in here somehow. I'll have to work on that probably. Putting it back in. Oh, wait, look at that. Figured it out. That's half the battle with this stuff, is getting it back in the boxes. So that's a jigsaw. Any questions so far on these tools or tooling? Anybody want to know anything about the tools or differences? No, no questions so far? Okay. Let's go on to the next tool. That was a jigsaw. Hey, show of hands. Show of hands. How many of you have any of these tools that we've looked at so far? They're talked about: laser level, circular saw, router, jigsaw. Any of you have them? Gerardo, Sam, Francisco, Brianna, Luis? No? Oh, Luis, what do you got?
A jigsaw?
Say it again.
A jigsaw?
You have a jigsaw. What kind? What brand?
It's from Harbor Freight.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Harbor Freight. And if you don't know about Harbor Freight is a wholesale tool outfit that's retail. Well, it's a retail tool outfit that sells at wholesale prices. They have a lot of A+ deals, right, Luis? And if you haven't checked it out, if you're entry level tool buying, Harbor Freight is a pretty good place to buy tools. They have every tool, and they have some really dirt cheap tools. Now, you're going to get a cheap tool, which may or may not be a good tool. It may be a good tool, it may not be a good tool, but it'll be a tool, and you'll be able to use it as such. And then as you sharpen your skills, right, you're going to want better, more precise tools, and then you maybe want to want to upgrade your tools, but that'll be up to you. But yeah, Harbor Freight's a great place. Anybody else have any of those tools? Anybody have a router? Okay, probably nobody has a router, right? No router, no Francisco Sam, no. So routers are pretty fun tools, and really, you need a router if you're going to become an accomplished finished carpenter. Especially if you're going to hang doors. Routers are an integral part of hanging doors, as well as door planers, which we'll hopefully get to. But they're really great for hobbying. If you just pick up woodworking as a hobby and you want to do it in your garage or wherever, having a router is really fun. It was one of the first tools I got. Actually, the first tools I got were, I got a skill saw, a Rockwell 7 1/4 worm drive. I got a drill motor. I got an electric drill. And I think my next tool was a router. So, and jigsaws are good saws to have because you can not just do straight cuts with them, but you can do intricate curves and carve out circles and stuff like that. So let's, I'm going to pin me again. And let's go to the next thing on my list, which is a sliding table adjustable bevel miter saw. And it almost is in the realm of stationary power tools, but it's not. It's really a portable power tool. It's a portable power tool, and I'm going to take us over and show us this one because we have a couple of them, but only one in here in the shop right now. We have one outside. We have a big old 12-inch DeWalt outside. So I think this is showing up. Let's see. Yeah. That's showing up. So that there is a Hitachi, which is, they kind of led the way in sliding table miter saws and chop saws. They were innovative. They were the top of the line. What the heck? Yeah, they were the top of the line. Now, not so much anymore. A lot of people are competing with them. A lot of people are competing with them. A lot of people are making chop saws, Bosch, Freud, DeWalt, you name it. There's so many sliding table miter saws out there. It's ridiculous, but Hitachi's a good one. Now this rigid stand that it comes on, that's an aftermarket thing. It doesn't come with the Hitachi. It works with the Hitachi. It's got outfeed tables on both sides that are adjustable and height adjustable to support your work. I'll show you how it works in case you're wondering. You can use a sliding table compound bevel miter saw for a variety of things. You can cut plywoods with it. You can cut, pardon me, solid stock with it. You can cut all kinds of things with it. And then we'll pick this back up. Jesus. We'll pick this back up, but we're going to take a break. I don't want to run you guys. I'm trying to run you guys in 45-minute increments. So let's take a break. It's now 12 minutes until 11. Let's break until 11, and then we'll come back and give you a little demo on this saw and see if I can't get a few more tools to show you too. At least a few more tools before we break into the breakout room. So I'll see you back here right at 11 o'clock straight up, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So it's got an adjustment. It'll tell it how far the blade to come down. So someone has stopped the blade to make a stopped cut for some reason. I don't know why. So I'm gonna get rid of that right now and let it come down to there. Okay, so we can. We can cut a 45 on it with a positive stop. You can cut from either side. It's got a guard, which is really good. It's got dust collection. It's got a little bag, so it's not very efficient or effective dust collection. but it's got some dust collection. But this saw also, it's a compound miter saw. So it will also do a compound miter, which is a miter as well as a bevel. That's what makes it a compound. And the bevel part of these saws is right here. And it's also got positive stops for cutting crown molding of these positive stops at 30. We'll go past that, goes to 45, 15. I'm reading a gauge right here. So you go all the way back to a positive stop at 0 and lock it in for 90 degrees. So you can make compound miter cuts, bevel cuts, 90-degree cuts, and anything in between with a compound miter saw. It's a great tool, really, really great tool. It's pretty much de rigueur or required for most Finnish carpenters these days. It's one of the things you really got to have is a chop saw. If you're going to run any moldings, you're going to want a chop saw. So, yeah, let's do this. Let's table saw, various blades, table saw. I'm going to take you over and show you the table saw. Then I think we're going to break out and talk about tools. So I showed you the sliding table, adjustable bevel miter saw. So table saw is a stationary power tool, but these days we have a lot of table saws that are portable power tools. And have I pinned that before? Let's just take a look at this table saw. Because just about everybody's making table saws now that can come to a job site relatively easily. Oh, you know, I'm not going to break that one out. It's just going to be too time consuming. But back here, this is the problem in the shop. Our tools have to be stowed and then brought out when they're used because we also use this classroom. But this is the table saw. It's a Bosch. And it's a really good one. It's a 10-inch. It's not as heavy duty as, of course, our stationary power tool, but it's being a portable power tool. It's on wheels. It's got a stand. It unfolds. It's got a fair amount of power. It's a really good job saw. And I don't know how much these guys are going for. They're not cheap, but again, Ryobi makes them. DeWalt makes them. Porter-Cable makes them. Bosch makes one I really like, which is what we've got there. I think Rigid makes one. Just a whole host of companies are making these portable 10-inch power saws. And they take the same 10-inch blade that the stationary power tools take. Exact same blade. So if you buy some decent blades for your job site power saw. Now the thing about job site power saw, like that Bosch power saw, that Bosch table saw, that 10-inch table saw. So there's the saw. You saw it folded up in the corner, and there's the saw. So it's $773 from Amazon. So it's definitely not cheap. But if we were to go to Amazon, Okay, so, well, here's a Bosch for 600 bucks. I wonder what the difference was on that one. So they're all around the DeWalt 600, all these 10 inchers. It's a good investment. There's one for 342. By the way, if any of you are interested in shop type tools, raise your hand if you've heard of Shopsmith, the brand Shopsmith. Nobody? Okay, so Shopsmith has been around a long time, like decades. Like when I was learning, when I was getting my chops and learning my chops when I was in my 20s, so 50 years ago, Shopsmith was around. And Shopsmith has made a tool that it's a multi-tool. So it's a woodworking tool. It's a stationary power tool. It's not something that you would drag around, or it's not very portable. It's portable enough to get here. We have one here with all the accoutrements. And a Shopsmith is a pretty darn interesting tool because it's got all these tools. And so this one that someone has donated to us that we are either going to figure out how to use, which I kind of doubt we're going to take the time to do, or we're going to find somebody to sell or give it to. So we're on the fence about how we're going to do that or what we're going to do. But where the heck am I? Okay. This is pretty much what we've got out there. So it's got a table saw, it's got a lathe, it's got a bandsaw, it's got a jointer. Ours has a jointer. I don't see the jointer on here yet. But it's got at least 4 or 5 operations on it that you use the same motor. You just change the drive belts to drive different tools. But it's a wonderful tool for the hobbyist in their garage. I don't think it's the tool if you're planning to do woodworking commercially and do any kind of production woodworking. It's more of a hobby tool to make things for yourself and your loved ones. And maybe you can make a buck doing it. I don't know. I do know that it's been around a long time, and it does all kinds of, has capabilities of doing all kinds of woodworking. Okay, so it's about 12 after. I want to break out. By the time we get them chosen, we'll break out for a half hour. We'll break out about 15 after, and then I'd like you first off, let's find out who Monica wants. Monica, who do you want?
I'll take the same group as before, Esperanza and Gerardo and Israel, if that's okay, guys? Yeah.
Israel. Okay, and then you guys can talk about whatever you want, but maybe talk about tools and tooling and what you've seen, questions about what you've seen, if you've seen anybody use them, if there are any of those tools you'd like to have, or any of those tools that you're thinking about getting, or if you have any questions about the tools. And then we'll do this for 20, 25 minutes, and then I'll circle back and pick you up. And let's put you in, and then I think I might take, well, then I'll break up the other two too. Okay, so breakout rooms, sign manually.
Can you, before you send us, can you also please allow me to share screen in my breakout room before you send us? Like the share screen, allow multiple participants to share. Thank you.
Does that mean me making you co-host? Is that what I need to do? I swear I can't remember how to do this.
No, if you click on the arrow pointing up next to share screen, there should be an option to choose multiple participants can share. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, that's all I need to do?
Yeah, that's it. Then you can send us and then I can share my screen.
Okay, here we go. Breakout room, room 1. We're gonna have Esperanza, Alvarado, and Monica. That's all you need? Anybody else?
And
want?
Israel, please.
And Israel. Yeah, I wrote that down too. And Israel, okay.
Thank you.
There you go. And then we'll add a room. What else we got left? And you need to be DMQR, you need to be with Anthony. Okay, so there you go. There you go. And then next. And then lastly. Crap. What happened? God damn it. Sorry. Hey, Francisco, I just wanted to see if you and I could get it flat. You there?
That would
Wait for the blade to pick it up.
Hi. So this one, what's the brand? Can you see the brand of this one? What's this one called?
DeWalt.
DeWalt, okay. So have you ever used one of these before, DeWalt, this brand of portable power tool? No? I've seen it before. So this one, it slides and then he goes all the way to the back. All right, good. We were looking at, hey Ronnie, we were looking at different saws. We were like the one that you showed on the table and all these different saws. And we saw a lot of them that have the saw underneath. What's it? Let's see, this is what we were looking at. So, all right, so we have the tape, the sliding top saw, or what did he say was the chop saw?
That's a chop saw.
Yeah, chops up.
Okay, good. Okay, and then the last one was the portable table saw. So similar, but you can move it easily, right? With the portable table saw, what's the benefit of this one, the portable table saw? Why is this one good? Like you were saying, Israel.
Hold on. Ron, you're on mute. There you go.
Hey, you guys.
What's up?
Can you hear
Hey.
me?
Yeah, I get
How's
you.
it going? How's it going in there?
You know, me and brother just having a nice conversation until these people are just staying quiet, sleeping.
Oh, are you awake? Brianna, are you awake? Brianna, you guys there? Brianna? Carla, you there? Brianna, you there? Well, Anthony's here and Jose's helping him out, right? And Brian's here.
No, he didn't answer my question.
I'm sorry, what was your question?
No, I asked my teacher like, "Hey, can you hear me?" Nope,
Yeah.
he stayed quiet.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can hear you. Oh, Carla's here. So Carla, you're here. Good. So have you guys been talking about anything? Have you been talking about any saws or chop saws or jigsaws?
See, we were talking about me and Brian. We're just talking about video games and our life right now.
What video games?
Oh no. Any kind. I don't know. Brian, help me out here.
What kind do you?
Tell him what kind do you play?
Oh, is Hector here?
Is it? I don't know.
Let
I
me
haven't seen
see.
him.
It says Hector here, so I'm gonna step out and see if I can't find Hector. Let's see if I can.
I didn't see him in here.
Hector, I think I'll put Hector. We're in room 1, right? No, we're in room 2. I'm gonna put him in room 2. So maybe he'll join up. And I'm in room 2, right? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna leave you guys for a minute and go to room 3, and I'll be back. And actually, do I have everybody's attention here? Brianna, can you hear me? Hector, can you hear me? Carla, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who is that? Brianna?
Hector,
you-
that's Hector.
Hey, Hector. So
That's
you-
Hector right there.
Hector, you made it.
Yeah.
Hector, what happened? How come you came so late?
I had a dentist appointment in the morning, and then
Okay.
kind of had trouble
You
right now.
gotta let me know, okay? Let me or Monica know. Text us. Do you have my phone number, Hector?
Honestly, I don't think so.
Okay, I'm gonna put it in the chat right now to everybody. Gonna put it to everyone. So Rodney Utz phone number is. So just call me or text me if you're going to be late or anything like that, okay? And just let me know what's happening. Fair enough?
Yeah, that sounds good. I will.
Now, well, I have you guys' attention. I have Anthony's attention. I have Brian's attention. Hopefully I have Carla and Brianna's attention too. If you feel that I have been disrespectful to you in this talking about being late and all this kind of tirade I went on Thursday, I apologize. It's not my intention to be disrespectful. It's just, my intention to be, kind of act like a boss, which in some ways teachers are the boss. But the other thing is if you've got a problem with me sharing personal details, like my trip to Pebble Beach and you guys getting out an hour early, sure, you can share with me privately about that, but it just kind of blows me away. Somebody is having a problem with it. And if you've all got a problem with it, then I'm going to have to change my style because I don't want anybody to feel that I'm being disrespectful. And I certainly don't want anybody to be bummed about me talking about personal anecdotes from my life or talking about Easter or anything else. So I don't know quite where to go with this because I wasn't able to get it flat with this particular individual that's so bugged by me. But if you guys are bugged, please contact me privately and let me, yeah, I hear you, Carla. Just let me know, will you? Because, I don't want to offend anybody and I don't want anybody to have a bad time here. By the same token, I don't know how much I can teach you remotely. You know what I mean? I'm basically trying the best I can do too. So if you got comments, you can make them. You can make them to me, okay? You can. You now have my phone number, and if you're going to be late, or you got a doctor's or dentist appointment or something, just please let me know, and then I can let the powers that be know, and you won't get dunned for being late. Okay? Okay. Thank you. Now I'm going to leave the room and go see another room, and then I'm going to get everybody back here. Trying to get you into another room, Francisco, but I can't seem to figure out how to do it. Do you know how to do it?
I do not.
How to reassign you? I think I can. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna put you into room 1, so you won't be by yourself. And then I don't hear a lot of conversation going on.
Oh yes, we had a lot of conversation.
You guys had a lot of conversation before I showed up.
Yeah, we went over the tools you discussed, and yeah, we had discussion about where to get them and if we've used them.
Right on, right on. That's what I want to hear. And hey, it's come to my attention. Someone has brought it to my attention that the class thinks that I am disrespecting them. Now, I don't know how this person gets to speak to the whole class, but here's what I want to tell you, is that if I have somehow been disrespectful to you, please forgive me. It's not my intention. When I got into my tirade last week about people being late and not showing up and stuff like that, that's just me being me. And if you felt you were disrespected, I absolutely apologize. I wasn't trying to disrespect anybody. I was basically trying to get my point across. And yeah, when I get hot, when I feel, upset, I usually raise my voice a little bit. So if you've got a problem with me, and if you've got a problem with me telling you personal anecdotes from my life, or talking about Easter, or the significance of Easter, or saying the word Jesus, please I put my phone number in the chat. Just let me know personally, and we'll try to get it flat, okay? Because I'm not here to make anybody feel bad. I'm here to try to present some information to you, that maybe you don't have, something that hopefully you can use, some information. And I'm also here to entertain you. That's right. To present the content and some ideas about construction. As it's turned out, it's pretty much become tooling, because it's pretty important that you understand the tools, and then how to use the tools comes with knowledge as you gain knowledge in woodworking. But back to this thing about, if you've got a problem with me, just call me up if you feel like it, or otherwise just suck it up and come to class. I would like everybody to like me, and I would like everybody to participate, but I know I can't make anybody like me. I can't make people participate. So, but I know somebody's not happy with me. One of my students is not happy with me. And so I'm sorry, I got a guy, I got a text here. He's in the lot. So I'm sorry. I told him to come at noon. Is it noon? No, it's 15 to noon. It's 15 till. I'm done at noon, Howard. Sorry. Okay. Gosh, my phone just blew up. But my wife texted me and told me she's sorry I feel neglected. So I think what she's telling me is that she's not neglecting me, but she's sorry I'm feeling neglected. Okay, I can buy that. I'm mollified. But anyway, it's part of how I do this thing. you know, I will tell you guys about what's going on with me. I find it interesting. And then I used to think that you guys did too. So I'm not sure where I'm going to go with this, but I'm going to try to make that person that's unhappy with me. By the way, that person who is unhappy with me has told me that the whole class is unhappy with me, that the whole class feels disrespected. I don't buy it. I totally don't buy it. And I don't want to put anybody on the spot. If you do feel disrespected by me, or if you have some problem with me, if you're having a problem.
I'm very happy from you.
Say it again, Yakub.
I'm very, very happy from you.
That's very nice to hear, and thank you for that. I appreciate that. Gold star for Yakub. So anybody that kisses my butt gets a gold star. Just kidding. But
Yeah, no, thanks for that, Ronnie. We just had some discussion about that in our group. We just kind of all agreed that we're just here to learn, you know?
Yeah.
As far as you talking about your life and stuff,
Yeah.
we agree that, yeah, like it's normal for teachers to do that. It is a little bit different though online than in person.
Yeah.
Because we know we do have lives. And but yeah, we just kind of like, we're adults, and we see your effort too. But
Okay.
thanks for that though.
Okay, well, I appreciate that feedback. But, you know, it's part of my MO as a teacher is sharing my life experiences. So I'm going to probably continue to do it, but I might do less of it because it sounds like I'm not everybody's clicking with it. So I'm going to leave the room, and I'm going to leave it for everybody. So we're going to all come back together. We're going to end this meeting. I think it takes 60 seconds. We'll all come back.